Hey, welcome back with a Tree Fork Connection with your final taping for TNA Impact Wrestling for this week being September 29th, 2011. And no Jeff Hardy again. So there was false reports of him being at Tuesday's tapings was wrong. Well, he wasn't even at tonight's taping, being Wednesday night. From this week's taping, look for tomorrow night. There's the bad Ric Flair versus Sting match. Ric Flair gets injured, and they had bad reports on the match itself. Ric Flair reportedly injured his left arm in the match against Sting. Monday's TNA Impact Wrestling tapings airing tomorrow night on Spike TV. Backstage reviews on the match were negative, and there was numerous blown spots. One source said the match was so bad that it had no place on TV. So, will it play or will it not? We will see on tomorrow night if it was so bad. Regarding who is to blame, it said that Flair is rusty from not wrestling lately, but sources say Sting deserves a lot of the blame also, as it appeared to be to observers that he forgot some of the planned spots. Former WWE and TNA wrestler Matt Hardy was arrested again at Raleigh-Durham International Airport once again this week in North Carolina and charged with DWI. Yes, that's driving while intoxicated, but yet he was not drunk. TMZ.com has published the police report that Matt Hardy's arrest, and the details are disturbing to say the least. Matt Hardy was at the airport on Monday afternoon when police received several phone calls from concerned drivers who said Matt's car almost hit two drivers 3 separate times. When an airport police officer spotted Hardy, the wrestler's car swerved into the curb and then back onto the road. Once Hardy was pulled over, the officer claimed Hardy was asked to step out of the vehicle. Matt proceeded to open his door and then got out of the car. Without putting the car in park, police report reads, the vehicle rolled forward and I yelled for him to put the vehicle in park. Matt Hardy observed to have, quote, slow and slurred speech, sleepy eyes, and a very lackadaisical demeanor. And you can see the picture itself. It kind of looked like he got in a fight at a late night bar about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. It looked like one eye like glazed over, and the other one kind of like The Rock when he does his people's elbow. On people's eyebrow. People's elbow. Okay, I thought it was funny myself. Hardy then was asked to walk a straight line, but after taking 2 steps, Mr. Hardy lost his balance and failed to stay on the line. He was given a second chance, but only made it 2 or 3 steps again before falling, failing to remain heel to toe, and lost his balance again. Hardy took another field sobriety test where he had to stand on one leg. Well, he was unable to hold his leg up past 1 second. So something he's taking or something he's doing is not translating with his body or what have you. Well, Hardy took a breathalyzer test which showed that he had 0 alcohol in his system. So therefore he was not drunk, but he was intoxicated under something. Hardy is back in court for this offense on November 30th. Cops called a drug recognition officer to perform even more tests, and they determined Hardy was under the influence of central nervous system depressants and arrested him on the spot. I didn't know that was illegal. So if you're taking central nervous system drugs, such as, I would guess, Ritalin, Cylert, I used to take that as a kid. Ritalin, I took it for a couple of years when I was a kid. My brother took it most of his up until his high school years. So I guess we would have to be arrested too. Well, even though that's behavioral medicine, but the central nervous system drugs. That foggled my mind. Okay, shortly after the arrest, Hardy's blood was taken for drug testing, and those results are not in as of this writing being today. Shortly after the arrest, Hardy's girlfriend, Reeve Sky, tweeted, "F this." I'm keeping a PG rating. Okay, Sting versus Hogan for TNA's Bound for Glory pay-per-view in October was planned to go ahead after Monday's taping, when Sting earned the right to face Hogan by defeating Ric Flair. Sources report that the officials have nixed that match, the Sting versus Hogan match, as of yesterday, and the two will now face in a tag team or three-way dance with another name who hasn't been named yet, and it still hasn't even after tonight's taping. We should have more details after tonight's Impact Wrestling, which there wasn't much to be said about it. Former WWE and TNA wrestler Matt Hardy again was, like I said, arrested the second time. North Carolina charged with DWI, driving while intoxicated. According to the police, Matt was arrested on Monday, September 12th. He was arrested by airport police at the Raleigh-Durham International Airport. And he tweeted on Tuesday that there's some sort of conspiracy against him, claiming he was framed. Hall of Famer Jim Ross was asked on Twitter that what he thinks about Matt Hardy's latest DWI arrest. And Ross says, "Really? What's left to say?" Matt Hardy now has several court dates scheduled stemming from three separate incidents. First on September 28th for his August the 20th DWI that led to his release from TNA. That arrest brought charges of driving while impaired and exceeding safe speed. Next is a court date on October the 11th from a different incident where he was charged with reckless driving, wanton disregard. Following then the Monday's latest arrest, he appears in court November 30th to face charges of driving while impaired. Thanks to Eric for sending in what you've all been waiting for, Impact Wrestling spoilers for Wednesday night's taping. For tonight's taping in Orlando, and it will air on September 29th. Sting and Robert Roode open the show. Sting puts over Roode and calls him the next world champion. AJ Styles comes out and talks about being world champion, which brings out Kurt Angle. Angle says it's going to be Styles versus Roode tonight. Brian Kendrick beat Zema Ion, Kid Cass, Jesse Sorensen, and Alex Shelley in a ladder match to become the #1 contender for the X Division title. It will be Kendrick versus Aries and Bound for Glory, and that was your first match of the evening. Karen and Jeff Jarrett came out. They called out Tracy Brooks and Kazarian. Jarrett talks about how Kazarian owes him for giving him work. This goes on, and they all get into it. Jarrett is about to make Kaz and Tracy's life hell. Gunner comes out and lays out Kazarian to end it. Backstage segment with Mexican America and Ink Inc. go up to give Anarchia a new tattoo, but they attack the tag champions. Jesse Neal hides behind the cameras, while Shannon Moore gives Anarchia a tattoo. Anarchia is screaming bad. Ink Inc. go to the arena for a match, but get jumped and laid out by Mexican America. Next up was Madison Rayne beat Tara in a qualifying match to join winner Velvet Sky and Mickie James in the knockout title match at Bound for Glory. Unknown what type of match this is yet. Crimson calls out Samoa Joe and they cut a promo on each other. Crimson meets Joe on the stage and they go at it, fighting back in the ring where Joe slaps on the figure 4. Matt Morgan comes out for the save, but Joe escapes. Pope beat Mr. Anderson. Devon's kid ends up getting involved and pushing Anderson at ringside. Devon came out and wasn't happy with him. Bully Ray ran in and laid out Anderson with a kendo stick, letting Pope get the win. Robert Roode beat AJ Styles by submission. Styles raised Roode's arm and hand after the match. And what was left of your main event action wasn't even a match. Hogan came out, talks about Hulkamania, selling out Madison Square Garden, and more. He says Hulkamania could live forever. Hogan talks about being grateful for being able to help TNA and put some of the stars. Hogan then puts over the fans for sticking by him and says that this is it for him. Hogan says his run in wrestling is over and it's time for guys like Robert Roode and James Storm to shine. Hogan invites everyone to Tennessee next week for a very special announcement about his final time entering the ring. And it's unknown what that is. Since that the Hogan Sting match is next, so what's next for Sting? And is Hogan really going to step aside and not wrestle ever again? Well, Ric Flair said the same thing many times. Terry Funk said the same thing many times. I'm still waiting on HBK is going to wrestle ever again to keep his word. And other people have said the same thing, but they have also returned to wrestling. And that will end my TNA tapings for this month.